I wrote a book called Unfinished Business back in, I'd say, 2003, around there. I think I
It's a
have it here.
great book.
It's a
Great book.
great book, and it really is a great book. And I had to write it because it's unfinished business. What the dead can teach us about life. And I wrote that book because I got really tired of hearing from Spirit saying the same messages, which were, if only I knew then what I know now, I would have made better choices. I would have less regrets. I would have a fulfilled life, and I wouldn't have come over to here and have to deal with all the stuff I should have left behind. That should not have followed
Yes.
me over here. So we want to do a show about having no should haves, would haves, or could haves. And this book, Unfinished Business, I did many years ago, is all about that, about not having any should haves, would haves, or could haves, and we shouldn't have them.
Mhm.
And we should, really take a hold of this and start doing something with our life so we don't have any should haves, would haves, or could haves.
Right,
Very
I get
important.
that too from Spirit on the other side. They'll say, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I wish I had treated my daughter better," or "I wish I had been a better parent." I hear
Yes.
that one a lot for
And one
regrets.
famous, one well known for me, because people are always asking us what's your most memorable reading, and it's
Yeah.
impossible. But I do remember this, and these are quite a bit for an example for my audience. I once had this. I did a reading for a young lady 20 years ago, and it went very well, except her father came through in the middle of it, and she started crying her eyes out, and she's probably in her 50s, and she said, "Daddy, Daddy, why couldn't you just tell me you loved me? Why could that's all I wanted my whole life. Why couldn't you tell me you loved me? That's all I wanted." And this is a woman who had a lot of trouble having a relationship, being intimate with someone, trusting somebody, really jumping out of the box, living life fully. And and I was really kind of a sad thing. The father said to his daughter, "I'm sorry I didn't teach you love. I couldn't teach you something I knew nothing about." So
Oh,
he was never taught love by his parents. So
right,
how could he give her that? He didn't know what it was. So we
right.
always got to look back and see always what the background is, the backstory of everybody, including our
Yeah,
parents and the generations behind us, you know.
absolutely.
Just
That
because they're
trauma.
older than us, they're a generation behind us, doesn't mean they know everything, right?
And you may be the one that comes into this life to break that pattern, that cycle,
Exactly. Exactly right. Exactly that
you know?
ancestral cycle. Sure, that happens all the time.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Wow. Well, what do you have any regrets, James?
no, no regrets. I love that song.
I do
Um,
too.
I've thought of that, and because I'm always someone who, because I preach or teach about what happens when you pass over. One of the first things is your life review, and for those for this before, bear with me. But those who haven't, it's very important. We go through when we first pass over. After we see our friends and family, there's a reception, and we're passed over and so forth. We have a life review, and we in that world, they've described it where we're able to see, feel, and experience our past, this lifetime we just lived, and we feel it, experience it from another person's point of view. 10
Mhm.
times, 20 times, 30 times stronger than it was initially intended. So, the analogy I like to use is, let's say you're in a bad mood and you go to a restaurant and you yell at the waiter, and the waiter gets upset and yells at a coworker, and the coworker gets upset and goes home and yells at a family member, and so forth and so on. When you go back home and you have your life review, it's not going to be those grandiose things you did or didn't do. It's going to be those simple things, everyday life, situations in everyday life where you could have used the better way. And you will feel what that waiter felt very, very strongly. You'll feel how the coworker felt, how the family member felt. And there's what we call a rippling effect. This
Mhm.
created that, created that, created that to happen. And your one thought, your one word created all of that to happen, and that's what you left in the world. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to have that waiting for you when you pass the other side of life. So I always tell people, and it's the golden rule: treat others as you want to be treated. It's really, really true. And I do it now. It becomes a regular thing, a habit now. I'll go into a store, and I'll always be pleasant. I'll always be pleasant. I'll
Yeah.
try to find something good to talk about, or the cash register lady. I'll just change her, automatonic type of way, robotic way of, and I say, "How are you today?" "Oh, we have beautiful eyes," or whatever it might be. And it stops her, pauses, and it gives that sense of love, and a good feeling. And we need to do that more often, everybody. You need to do that.